Hey guys, how's it going? So this is going to be my initial review of the PSA Dagger 9mm. And I've been looking forward to doing this video for quite a while because this is a pistol I'm really excited about. I'm actually totally loving it, and I'll explain why. So first and foremost, is this a Glock clone? Kind of, but kind of actually not. It's both. So it is compatible with Gen 3 Glock parts and all of the other compatible firearms that use Gen 3 Glock. Now that's a huge plus just due to all the modularity and different parts that already exist for that Glock 19 format. However, there's a lot of things that are much different than the Glock 19, and I don't consider this just another Glock. I actually consider it a PSA Dagger, you know, its own firearm, with the bonus of having all that compatibility with the Glock stuff, because there are some things that are definitely different about it. And this particular version has a 4.5-inch threaded barrel. It's cut for the RMR, and it's the Cerakote gray slide, which I think is pretty cool. And I said this particular version because there's actually dozens and dozens of different options, both in complete firearms, lowers, slides, all of that stuff. And I can't get into all those details here on YouTube. That's why I have my locals community. It's another site, a censorship-free platform. And make sure you check the pinned comment of this video, and I'm going to have a follow-up showing you guys some pretty cool stuff that I think you'll really like if you're interested in this pistol, or if you're just finding out about it right now. Make sure you head over there. Locals is free to join, or you can support. Check the pinned comment. I'm going to give you guys a bonus video on this with stuff that we just can't do here on YouTube. So, like I said, many different configurations. I chose the gray RMR. They also have the slides in Doctor or with no cut at all, so it gives you quite a few options. Now also included is, of course, our cover plate. If you choose not to put that RM on there right away, this will be there for you on standby, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so you guys probably already know a lot about Glocks. This is a 15-round flush fit 9mm, so basically about the size of a Glock 19, although there are a few differences in the ergonomics, which I'll discuss here in the next few minutes. Striker fired. Alright, so what makes the Dagger its own pistol? First of all, it's made in the USA by PSA, Columbia, South Carolina. I did a tour of their facilities recently, and awesome place. I went to their machine shop, I went to their final assembly factory, watched them inspect, build, do all these things. Class A shop, literally from start to finish, top to bottom. Awesome people that work there, and I think that's great. They're putting a lot of good Americans to work, and that's totally awesome. Which is another thing with this. This is a budget pistol, guys. And when I say budget, I mean like probably within your budget and most people's budget, which is kind of PSA's policy. You know, they have their ARs so cheap. That's always been their motto. If they could sell ARs at an affordable price, and if enough people could own them, it'd be impossible to ban them. That's literally how the two brothers looked at things when they started this company. And they've transferred the same thing into this Dagger, making it very affordable. Check that locals post. I'll give you guys much more details on all of that there. But right off the bat, that's pretty awesome. Made in the USA, affordable, plenty of compatibility with Glock, which is the most prolific pistol in America when it comes to these striker fired type handguns, right? So that's awesome. Now, here's where it's a little bit different. We're going to notice the frame. Different shape, different contours, okay? Different grip texture, of course, with the slide. Also the trigger. And actually, every one of these things, in my opinion, are actually a positive. And again, just in my opinion, I actually prefer over actual Glock and some of the other different versions or compatible firearms. You guys can have your opinion. I'm not telling you not to like your Glock anymore. I'm just saying, for me, there's some things on this that I actually like quite a bit more. So let's start here with the frame. Polymer frame, obviously. A nice undercut trigger guard where I can really get that middle finger in there, get my hand nice and high on the grip, which is obviously going to lead to a firmer, more controlled grip where I can keep control of the handgun and the recoil more. So totally awesome there with the undercut. I know a lot of people really like that. Also a very nice beaver tail in the back where I can choke up nice and high, and I'm not having to worry about any danger of slide bite. So The ergonomics are good there. The grip texture, I like a lot. I'm going to see if I can zoom in for you to look at it here. And at first glance, it doesn't really look so aggressive. And it's actually kind of not, in a good way. It doesn't feel like rough sandpaper. There's no pokey pylons, which to each his own, like everything. But I never really liked the rough, like, 16 grit skateboard tape sandpaper or the little pokey pylons. But I also obviously want some grip in the handgun so it doesn't move around on me, especially if my hands were wet due to sweat, rain, whatever could occur. Here's the best way to describe this grip. It definitely has texture, but if you just lightly rub your finger across it, so imagine if you were carrying it, I don't know, appendix, and it got under the undershirt a little bit, it's not going to completely rub your skin raw like a real aggressive sandpaper or poke you to death like a bunch of little pylons. But when you actually hold on to the gun loosely, it doesn't feel very aggressive, but it's one of those that the tighter you squeeze the grip, getting your nice firm, shooting grip like you normally would. I squeeze my handgun pretty hard, right? Especially with the support hand over here. The harder you squeeze it, the more the texture seems to kind of start biting into your hands. Not in a way that it hurts, but in a way where it's very secure. And the gun just does not want to slip and slide around. So the grip is definitely awesome. I love the grip texture. The hump in the back. It has the hump that Glocks are known for. However, it's a little bit different profile. And although I do kind of like the straight rake of other different styles of handguns, this hump's more than acceptable and it doesn't bother me. Now, nothing's perfect, and if I were to offer a suggestion to PSA going forward, if anyone's watching from PSA, in the engineering department, just a little suggestion, maybe offer a replaceable back strap where one could have the little hump here and maybe subdue it a little bit, maybe make a third option for a more abrupt hump. I know that would raise the price a little, and these are very, very budget friendly, so I understand why they didn't do that right off the rip, but maybe something they might want to add later, but it's very comfortable. Now along the front strap, same type of texturing here, and it does have a finger groove. Now again, to each his own on that. Generally, when I look at a pistol with a finger groove, I kind of go, I don't know. Because on some guns that have multiple finger grooves, those seem to never really line up for my fingers, and I generally don't care for those as much. And if I just had to pick in the dark, I would say I would probably want it with no finger groove at all. But in this case, at least for my size hands, it actually fits just fine. It fits right there in between where the middle and ring finger would be, utilizing that undercut trigger guard for a nice high grip. And you can see right here is where that little groove sits, and it's not really messing with me at all. So for my hands and several other people I've talked to that have shot these, the finger groove's fine for them, but just wanted to let you know it's there, and I think it's okay. Coming around to the front, we can see West Columbia, South Carolina right there, which is, like I said, really cool. Putting more Americans to work, giving them good jobs. That's awesome. The Picatinny rail, or Glock rail more like. The accessory rail on the front. It has one, which is probably enough for most things that you're going to do. If I could say one little improvement yet again, why not give somebody a second rail there? I think they could do that. I'm not sure why not, so I'm fine with the one. Don't even know if I'll run a light on this particular one, but why not put two in there? So, just another little suggestion. I'm just pointing these things out so you guys can get a thorough understanding of what's going on. Now, they ship with a 15-round PMag. This is the PMag 15 GL9. And yes, these do take 9mm Glock mags. Obviously not a 26 mag because it'd be too short for the frame, but 19, 17, Glock 18 mags, whether PMag, OEM, or other brands. So that's awesome. Plenty of options out there for the magazines. And a lot of you guys might already own quite a few of these. So that's why this might fit into the budget even quite a bit more. And again, I'll refer to this in the locals video, but even if you have this half up here, this half is very, very affordable, and you can combine and kind of dovetail off of what you already have to get into one of these. That's what's really, really cool about it. The slide, I actually like. It's a pretty simple slide. Like I said, set up for RMR. Doctor is also available, or without the cut whatsoever. These have tall Ameriglow blacked out steel sights, so don't confuse these with night sights. They are blacked out, but they are metal, very sturdy, and they're pretty tall. They have about a 1/3 co-witness with a standard RMR footprint, so that's the sights that come with this. Assuming that, because they're basically assuming, right, that you bought this so that you could put the RMR on there, or equivalent. We're talking RMR footprint. There's many brands that fall within that. And the lower 1/3 co-witness is very popular. Of course, these sights would also be plenty usable if you just, run it as a flat top for now with the cover in there. So that's nice. Little attention to detail. You don't have to go out afterwards and buy aftermarket sights. The barrel, 1/2x28, which is standard. It comes with the muzzle nut, the little thread protector on there. Even the little things like this, and these things do matter. They even were nice enough to put a little O-ring on there, right? And what that O-ring does is just kind of cinches it up tight where it's not going to vibrate loose. Because you don't want to use Loctite on a thread protector because you might want to take it on and off frequently. Definitely when you're doing your cleaning and whatnot. So just little attention to detail there was awesome. This being the Cerakote, they also have these available in black DLC, tons of colors, tons of options, windowed, non-windowed, it goes on and on. But this particular slide that I chose is nice. Front cocking serrations for doing any kind of press check. They're plenty adequate. Nothing gaudy, just kind of regular vertical lines, but plenty good. With the rear here, nothing to complain about there. The styling of the slide I think is actually pretty cool. The lightning cuts, where they're lightening a little bit of material off the slide. That just helps make up for the little bit of additional weight here if you put your optic on, right? They kind of remind me of like a milled AK or like Galil. Does anybody else see that? I don't know. Probably because I've been such a long time AK guy. But my first glance, I just stare at this slide for just a second, and I'm like, that kind of sort of reminds me of a milled AK look in a good way. So there you go. I thought that was a pretty cool little, kind of a squared off slide on the sides, except for that nice little milled AK look. Now this also has the carry cut. You can see there's a nice angle here. The slide is chamfered down on a nice bevel. That's to help ease with going into that holster. So they did pay attention to detail there, which is very nice. You can also see the chamfered angled edges here on the rear. Let me see if we can look at that. There you go. You can see a nice look at that. That's nice. Also on the front, on the muzzle end, they kind of took everything and sloped it in and angled it down, which is very nice. Here's another thing. It comes with a stainless steel guide rod, which the plastic guide rods are fine. They've been getting it done for years, but a lot of people, that's one of the first upgrades they do is go right out and get that stainless steel guide rod recoil assembly. It comes with plenty of aftermarket part support for these. Again, go to that locals post for the links. Look, guys, I'm not playing hard to get. There's just a lot of policies here on YouTube, and locals is much more free speech when it comes to, all this type of gun-related content and, showing you guys different options and whatnot. All right, the trigger. Now, this is something a lot of you are wondering about. Let's just take a look at this together real quick. Because keep in mind, this is my initial review of this particular one, like this literal exact one. However, I've actually shot daggers quite a bit. And I said that right at the beginning. That's why I was pretty excited to do this video. And I hope you guys are enjoying it, by the way. And if you are, don't forget to hit like. It's just a little way to help in the algorithm. That thumbs up button. Leave me a comment. Share it with your friends. You know what I'm saying. So, I shot one of these quite a bit. Actually, it was a couple different ones when I was down in South Carolina just a month ago. So I have quite a bit of trigger time. And that's how I know that indeed I really, really like shooting the dagger. Alright, the trigger. When you first look at it, I know what you're thinking. Well, I'll share with you what I was thinking. I was like, oh my gosh. A hinged polymer trigger? Are you kidding me? That was my initial thoughts. Until I actually dry fired this at the first time, which I'm going to do with you guys right now. This trigger is actually really nice. Just by looking at it, it reminds you of a Smith & Wesson trigger. And nothing against the Shield. I actually own 2 of them. It's better than a Shield trigger by a lot. Now, you also might be an FN person, and there's some FN pistols that also have the hinged trigger. When I say hinge, The bottom portion is your safety. If you try to pull the top part, it will not release the striker. It'll stop it right there. You have to actuate at least part of the bottom to get the trigger to actually move back. So the hinge is your trigger safety. In my opinion, actually a decent amount better than an FN polymer hinge trigger. So as far as my experience, this is the third firearm that I've shot that has this kind of two-piece trigger shoe. It's the best of all three. Way better than the Smith. Quite a bit better than the FN. And that's not just my opinion. Quite a few people have told me the same thing. So is this going to be your favorite trigger ever? I don't know. But remember, it takes Glock Gen 3 parts, if you know what I mean. Give this trigger a fair shake. I think at the very least, it's going to be good enough for you. But I think many of you, once you get a chance to shoot one of these or own one yourself, hopefully, you're going to be like, wow, that ain't bad. And then when you go to the reset, it's actually really, really nice. So let's look at the trigger here. First of all, you're going to notice there's no blade safety that a Glock would have, because instead the safety is this two-piece trigger shoe. So we're getting rid of the blade, which is a plus for me, because I don't mind the blade safeties, of course. Like so many guns have those, and I'm comfortable shooting them. But it's always kind of there, and you kind of sort of notice it at the very least. If it's a crappy trigger, it like digs in your finger and it completely sucks. But at the very least, it's there. It's not there. So you end up with a very nice, wide shoe. The shoe is nice, soft edges on it, and it's just very comfortable. It actually reminds me of if you have like an old, frame-mounted safety gun with a big, nice, wide trigger shoe. That's what this feels like on your finger, because there's no blade safety, and just the overall geometry of it's very comfortable. So with that said, let's check the pull. So remember, if I push here, as I'm showing you guys, there still is a safety. Multiple safeties on this firearm, including right here in the trigger. See, there's a little piece that hangs down from the shoe. See that little piece sticking out back there? It's stopping me. I actually have to make sure my finger's also on this. And see how it just moved that little blocker away? A lot like how your blade safety does. Moves it away, and then will allow you to finish pulling that trigger. So normally your finger's going to be right here about in the middle, right? We're going to come back. I'm going to hit a wall. Very crisp. Seriously. Now the reset. This is phenomenal. Very, very quick, abrupt. You can feel it, you can hear it type of reset. It doesn't like jolt my finger forward uncontrollably, but the spring's very powerful, aiding it to just get right back there for a very quick follow-up shot. Very fast reset. Meaning certain guns, and this is definitely one of them, it kind of like helps kick your finger forward just a little bit. You just let up on the pull after it cycles, and you're just right there. Let me see if you guys can hear that. It's holding it down by the mic. Maybe you guys can hear better. This trigger's really, really good. I'm being dead serious. Like to the point where some of my other Glock Gen 3 compatibles, I want to get some of these triggers separately to actually switch over to this exact trigger and other ones that have blade safety. So that's awesome. And again, I'm not going to get into all the prices of stuff on here just due to how YouTube is, and there's just so many options. But I am going to discuss all that in the locals video. Check the pinned comment for that, and you're going to see what I mean. Very, very budget. The basic level ones start off really low, and then even as you deck them out and get like the loaded deluxe models, still like so much better than the one that has the claim of perfection and is, originally of Austria, also of Georgia. Am I telling you not to like Glock? No, of course not. But I wouldn't just write this off as 100% Glock 19 clone and just leave it be, because there's actually things I like about it that are better. Certainly the price point's a lot better. I really like the company that's making it, how they stand for the Second Amendment, how many good people they're employing in times where people need a good job right now. There's just so many reasons why I like PSA. And one more reason I like it. Not just with the grip texture, and we went through all of that, but the back of it, just the geometry. If you notice where a Glock is more like squared off before it goes into the back strap, Let me see if we can get some light on this. It's hard to focus on something that's all black for my camera. But you can see here. See how this curves in? So instead of it jutting a little further back and then coming more like straight across, which is what Glock and many handguns do, this just comes in. And it's very thin up here. Up here where you have your thumb and your shooting finger at the ready position, your trigger finger, right? It's just very thin, and your hand just goes right in there where you can get right in, get easy access to that trigger. Very comfortable, very high on the beaver tail, still without any chance of slide bite right here. I mean, I have my skin literally folding over the top there, and they angled it in just the right spots, and then there's a gentle swell side to side. This is a lot harder to tell on camera than in real life, but it just tapers in thin here. But then about this portion, in between my fingers, it just swells out a little bit left or right, and that's the perfect spot. Because I want it thin where like the reach of my fingers are, right? To get to the mag catch, which is plenty easy to do, right? If I want to actuate the slide stop, up here, easy. If I want to use the slide stop to release, easy. And I can get right back in to my firing position. And it's just those little things, the way they contoured it in at a nice angle. They fattened it up a little bit in the middle, which is nice. That helps fill out this portion of the palm here. Also coming over to this part, more of the heel area of that support hand. So it's nice and full where I'm using like my gross motor skills to just sandwich this handgun to get a nice firm grip. But just that little bit of extra contouring and like slimming down that they did in this portion allows me to get right to those controls, where actually for an OEM I have to reach just that little bit further. So I wanted to throw that out there. Let me know what you guys think. Have you shot one of these? I've shot one quite a bit. I think I have some footage from South Carolina. I'll roll that in a follow-up video because I realized I've already gone over 20 minutes. And I'm also going to do some bonus stuff on locals. So make sure you check that as soon as you're done with this or when you get a chance. And I think you'll like my locals community, period. I do at least one, if not two, live streams every week where I can totally touch guns while I'm live, which we can't do here on YouTube. I also share tons of other stuff that a lot of people really like. So I'll do more information there. I'll roll in a follow-up on this with me shooting some other daggers, because I believe I have the footage still on my memory card for that, as well as taking this one out here in Michigan and giving it a spin and letting you know what I think. You can see that stainless steel guide rod right there. Comes standard with it, very high quality. And let's just take one last look. And I'm going to get out of here and go record that bonus video on locals for you all while this is uploading. So PSA Dagger, it's definitely within most people's budget. There's some features of it that I like actually a lot more than an actual Glock. Not taking anything away from Glock themselves though. Awesome firearms, obviously, but really like it. It's a great shooter, and hopefully I gave you guys some insight and just, I don't know. If you already knew more about this than me, hopefully you just had fun hanging out in the shop. Alright, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.